Good morning. Yay. Okay. I would like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us during our weekly hybrid MLS breakfast meeting. My name is Victoria Stapleton, and I am your April program chair. Okay, so this is my last week serving as your April program chair, and I want to take a moment to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your support and encouragement throughout the month. I also like to extend a special thank to my husband, Buck, for his support behind the scenes. Today is attorney Chris Leung, but before I welcome him up, let me tell you a little about our distinguished guest. Chris Leung graduated from the University of Southern California and Whittier College School. Oh, Whittier Law School, sorry. Law School. After graduating, he became an associate at Baker and McKinsey, a large international law firm in their Hong Kong office. He returned to Los Angeles and became a real estate counsel for the California Department of Real Estate, which is the DRE. Then he became Deputy Attorney General for the State of California Department of Justice. He recently retired with about 37 years of state service. He's a member of a California bar, Hawaii bar, and Nevada bar, and is also a California real estate broker. Now, help me welcome our guest speaker, attorney Chris Leung.
Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning. I enjoy coming here because I know that you are taking real estate seriously and are concerned about your profession. And so I'm very happy to be with you. And just to let you know, I have a lot of friends in the audience. That thanks to Victoria for inviting me. But I know Dora and Yin and Cynthia and Nancy Chan and Kurt. So a lot of old friends. So when I saw Victoria, and we were talking, and she said, "I'll talk about some new laws." And if you see that, there's new legal requirements, because I was at the broker summit here yesterday, and I heard some of the people from the DRE, and I heard about Carr, Gov Hutchison, what he said, and I thought, well, not only are there changing laws, but there's also, when you have, that includes risk. And then because with different laws, you could run afoul with a violation of these changing laws. And then another way, a second thing, is that there's a lot of people try to control risk by using insurance. Okay, but now you have the environment of the fires, the insurance industry is in turmoil. So you have higher risk, your safety net of insurance is in peril. And then so the third part I'm going to talk about is asset protection plans. Because if you have risk, your security blanket is shrinking, you better take things into your own hands and protect yourself. So that's the point, because I want to share some knowledge and experience with you that can be useful to you and help you in your business and protect yourself. Okay, so go to the first slide. Okay, so it might be a little difficult to read, but you could get the slides, the PowerPoint, and some handouts. Okay, but the first thing I wanted to point out is there's an executive order by Gavin Newsom. And so what happened is, you obviously heard in the news, President Trump has all these executive orders, and it's affecting a lot of state agencies. Okay, so it's not a law. If you remember a law from your high school, a law has to become a bill, and it has to go through the House, has to be signed by the president, and then it becomes a law. Okay, and the state of California also has an executive officer, the governor. And so he has control over state agencies like the Department of Real Estate. And then so the state of California governor, Gavin Newsom, signed an executive order. So it's not like a law per se, but it directs, it's kind of like an internal regulation. It directs the agencies and tells them what to do. Okay. So what happened is the first one I wanted to point out to you is this executive order N725 is they talk about the fire, okay, and consumer protection, okay, and so they say, pursuant to Government Code Section 8665. So the governor can direct the agency, but he has to keep it within a law. So you have to have a legal basis. He has to have a legal basis to direct the agency. So there's a law, a government code section, that any person who violates or refuses or willfully neglects to obey any lawful order or regulation issued pursuant to the California Emergency Services Act, so there, that's a law, can be convicted of a misdemeanor punishable by up to $1,000 or imprisonment for up to 6 months. Okay, so did you have any idea that, okay, that there's if you're happily going along with your business transactions, and you know a lot of people want to make low ball offers or something, or if it comes in violation of these laws, people are at risk of going to jail and getting criminally convicted. And can you go to the next page? Okay. And so what happened is on the second page, in part one, it talks about, can you see that? Maybe you can lower it. Okay. Is that, for example, an example of things is that to make any unsolicited offer, this is point number one, to an owner of real property located in the areas of the fire area for an amount less than the fair market value of the property or interest in the property. Okay, and it has, okay. What happened to, hey, we'll just make a low ball offer? Okay. Right now, that would be a violation of law. Okay? So and not only that, but look at what I marked in red. Okay? The Department of Real Estate, in consultation with other agencies and departments as appropriate, shall expeditiously determine the nature and scope of any unlawful, unfair, or fraudulent practices employed by any individual or entity seeking to take advantage of property owners in the wake of this emergency, and shall provide notice to the public and nature of these practices, their rights under the law, relevant resources that may be available, and contact information for authorities to whom violations may be reported. Okay, so if you were at the broker summit here yesterday, you saw the office manager and you saw the two investigators. Okay, so they usually do he told you the normal things. Okay, audit, criminal convictions, okay, and people complaining about complaints, okay? But now the governor of the state of California has ordered the Department of Real Estate, including these investigators, to go and investigate these violations and to cooperate with other agencies, for example, like the Attorney General's office or another state agency. So if they find evidence of a violation, it could lead to a criminal conviction. Okay, so this is new. Okay, so they say, oh, we just we just enforce real estate law for consumer protection. Okay. Well, now they have an order to expand the scope of what consumer protection means. Okay. So let's go to the next page. Okay. And you can see that's from the California Department. Okay. This second law that I'm going to point out is from the California Department of Justice. Okay. And so as Victoria said, I did work for both the DRE and I worked for the DOJ for many years. And so what happened is also at the Broker Summit, Gov Hutchison was here from CAR, and he talked about California tenant laws. Okay. So if you look at the first one, a new law, on the first paragraph, it says, your rent can generally be increased by no more than 10% in 1 year, depending on where you live. This cap may be even lower. Okay, and then on the second page is the chart. When raising your rent, your landlord must provide formal written notice. A call, text, or email is not enough. At least 30 days before the increase can take effect, and the rent increase is more than 10%, your landlord must provide notice of at least 90 days before the lease can take effect. Okay? And so this is a consumer alert from the California Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office. Okay? And so if you go to the next page, okay? So once again, the agency has to follow the law. So the law here is the California Tenant Protection Act that has all of these rights that a tenant has. But I just pointed out one about the price increase because it's related to the fires because of price gouging. People's houses got burned, so they have to go out and rent the place. Okay? But let's say before the fire, it was low rent, but after the fire, there's a lot of demand, so the rent goes up. But hey, wait a minute. Where now it could be, it's a question of if that's a violation of this Tenant Protection Act. Okay, did they increase it by more than 10%? Or did they give the proper 90-day notice? Okay, so whatever happened to before, how it was is that, hey, you know, whatever the market will bear, that's what we're charging now. People want to rent it, we're going to increase the rent. Okay, that potentially could be a violation of this law, and it could be prosecuted by the Attorney General's office. Okay, because the Attorney General is an elected official, and when he comes in, there's about 5,000 people who work at the Attorney General's office. And what happened is they don't just come in by themselves. They have special assistant attorney generals, just like President Trump has his cabinet. He brings in his people. Okay, so what happened is the Attorney General has a special assistant attorney general who deals with housing. Okay, and so that special assistant attorney general has deputy attorney generals working for him, and they're going out and they have investigators that are law enforcement officers with guns and badges, and they do investigations to see if consumers are being victimized from this law. And they deserve protection from this law if a landlord violated that law. And in fact, they have charged people, at least two people, with violations of this. Okay, but okay, so that this is just a sample that I'm giving you because things are changing. There's a lot of things changing. Okay, but that's just two examples of that you might not have known about, and that's why it's good that you come and educate yourself to be exposed to the new information. And So go on to the next one, is that insurance claims. Is that what happened is, how do people control their risk? Okay, when you're out there doing business, there's risk. Okay, there's risk of winning, making money, losing money, but there's also responsibilities you have as licensed professionals. And if you run afoul, if people run afoul with the law, they risk not only administrative disciplinary action for the license, but not now in certain cases they risk being criminally prosecuted and fined. And so the normal way that people take care of risk is that by insurance. Okay, and that's just an example, and I use that example because of the fires. Okay, and so you have to know that in light of these fires, okay, those insurance adjusters are just flooded with cases. Okay, they are so busy, and there's a lot of different timelines that they have to do, and a lot of information they have to gather and verify. Okay, so it it so it's a huge problem time wise. Okay, another thing is that with so many people making claims at the same time, all those insurance carriers have an extreme cash flow problem. So they are stingy. Okay, they know that that they have to stay in business, so they want to pay as little as possible. Okay, and they have armies of lawyers that work at the insurance companies trying to deny claims, and they hire large law firms that specialize in insurance defense, and they uh, they fight. They just don't make it easy, okay? Because it's for their own preservation, okay? And not only that, but even before the fires, the the insurance carriers, okay, they're smart. They have a lot of lawyers, okay? So they shifted the blame. They shifted the risk. You know that fair plan. So if you can't afford, let's say State Farm or one of the larger insurance companies, you have to go to that fair plan. So that fair plan doesn't have, that's supposed to be a safety net, but that safety net is going to be overwhelmed too. Okay, and who's next? The consumers are going to wind up paying for it. Your insurance, fire insurance, your homeowner's insurance probably already went up 20%. Okay, so this point being is that you have to be aware that the safety net is fragile. Okay, and so when you're dealing in this kind of environment, you need to just just all disputes, they're handled by if people can't settle, they have to go through a legal process. And generally speaking, to be honest, the public doesn't like attorneys, and the public, after they file insurance claims and they go through the insurance claims process, the insurance carriers are not very popular. Okay, and so when you have this conflict, okay, a person who really needs money to fix their house, an insurance company that doesn't want to pay, this is a big dilemma because it's a huge problem. I just want to give you an idea about some legal issues that are, or perspectives that uh, a lawyer can think about. He, number one, there's four perspectives. Number one, what's in the law books? Okay, so we saw some of the law. And then number two is what's not in the law books. And then number 3 is the history of the law. And number 4 is the structure of the law. Okay. So what interest groups created the laws? So for example, uh, there's that insurance companies have a lot of money, a lot of lawyers, a lot of influence with politicians. Okay. So what happens is that because of that, they can pass laws that are favorable to them and protect them. Okay. People think about consumer protection, but when it comes down to it, that's the structure of the law. Okay. And you have to know who you're dealing with. And that they do that to protect their business interests. Okay. And so what happened is when you think about it and you're dealing with some, it's any lawsuit, but in with insurance coverage attorneys, you probably want someone who's very experienced because it's a specialized skill. Okay. And you should try and get some help as soon as possible. So with respect to fire claims, an example of some disputed issue would be the insurance, number 1, the insurance policy's loss statement provision, how much was lost. And number 2, the coverage for additional living expenses. Let's say people had to move somewhere else and rent a place because they got burned out or smoked out. Okay, so those are 2 common loss situations, and the way that they calculate it are either the actual cash value or the replacement cost. That's the like an appraisal value of what your loss is. So when you going to prepare a claim, you have to hire wise and competent professionals like appraisers, contractors, insurance agents, and brokers should help you, an architect. And there, but a lot of the people that are in this business are so busy. They themselves are overwhelmed with work right now. So 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 the insurance companies, they play hardball. Okay, they only they have it set up so that they were going to pay a specific percentage of the claim, let's say 80%. Even health insurance, a lot of the health insurances, they'll pay for 80%, but you have to pay the 20% for your out of pocket. So the insurance companies for the fire are also forcing policyholders. Okay, if you want to try, you say, hey, I've been paying my premiums all these years, and now I have a loss. Why don't you help me rebuild my house? It costs a lot of money. The money you're offering, this 80% is not enough. Okay, but they are thinking of their own business interests. Okay, so it's this gap is so wide that they have a law called bad faith of unpaid claims. So how is it that you think yeah, your insurance company is there to help you, but uh, they if it comes down to it, they're gonna make you either take what they give you, or you're gonna have to sue them for bad faith. That would be the claim. And then the insurance companies, they know that normal people who just lost their house, they don't have money to hire attorneys and wait for 2 years to go through the legal process, and it's very difficult. And the insurance companies, they know, people run out of money. They get sick. People die. So that they just want to stall, and that they think that they have the deep pockets, they have the money, so they have the advantage over their opponents. Okay, that's kind of cold, but that's their business. Okay, and so people have to make a decision. Is it really worth it to go through that process? Okay, so the next slide. So in this handout, I have a link to what bad faith means, and so actually, I know some people. One is Mike Olson, and he's an attorney, and he practiced for over 30 years, and he worked as a partner at a big law firm that defended the insurance carriers. Okay, so just like I was with the DRE, so I would know how to do DRE cases or DOJ. Uh, for Michael, it's kind of like in baseball where you have a left-handed pitcher. Okay, you use them with a special skill set to get a batter out of out because you throw something different at him. So he they when you're dealing with the insurance companies, you want somebody who was there, who knows the other side, so he can help negotiate and work through the process with you. And of course, there's different types of arrangements. Yeah, they could be on hourly fee or they could be on contingency fee. But whoever you use, I just want to give you like a little outline about looking for an attorney. Is that of course you could look at Yelp, you can Google someone, you can get referrals from your friends. Okay, but with this kind of process, people are already upset to begin with. But just as a general uh, you can, if you have a system and people are in trouble, you could have them go through the process just step by step. Just do one thing and do the next thing and do the next step, and so it'll help them move forward in their tragedy. So just get some referrals and talk to them. Then step number two, you get a phone call and you ask them about their availability if they're too busy, and the nature of the work that they do. And if they're competent, they respond to you. And if they pass this first phone call, then the next step, you should have a Zoom call with them and see what they look like on Zoom. Okay. And then you okay. Then what happened is that, okay, we'll keep going to the next slide then. Okay. The bottom line is that you want to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay. And then so now the third point about the asset protection. Okay, there's increased risk of doing business. Your safety net is dwindling. So you should, as a prudent person, take matters into your own hands and protect yourself ahead of time. Okay, just for example, O.J. Simpson, he was found not guilty in the criminal case, but he was found guilty in the civil case, so he had a civil judgment. Yet he had his assets uh, properly set up with asset protection plan, so that he had enough money to play golf, for example. Okay, okay. So hey, you guys are in the real estate business. Okay, so you have to not only protect yourself but your clients and suggest to them. So I also work with another person, Peter Hu, and he has an article. So you can get the article. There's copies here, or you could put your name on a list in the front, and you could have the slides and the article from Peter and the notes from the lecture today, and you can think about it and you can review it. And so the point is that you can be judgment proof by protecting yourself ahead of times. And so, for example, uh, there's civil duties to avoid paying debts, and of course, people think about bankruptcy. That's one thing, but even before that, you could do other things. For example, you can uh, there's different states have different laws. there's life insurance to provide liquidity, and there's pension plans. Okay, so that's one of the things that O.J. Simpson did, is he put a lot of his assets into a pension plan, so the Goldmans couldn't get that money. Okay, so with real estate, you can put things in a limited liability company, LLCs, because the person would own an interest in the corporation, but not the asset itself. Okay, and so for example, you can have one LLC for each property, and because what happens is that if you have all of the properties you own in one LLC, if they sue one, if it's in the same LLC, the other companies will be the other properties will be in fact impacted. Also, like the insurance premiums will go up. So in okay, so like I said, there's the handouts, and you can get it by email. So you can if you have any questions, yeah, you can come up and ask.
Good morning. Thank you, Chris. We have a question from our Zoomer friend from Seal Rudar. Can a landlord insist on tenants carrying renters insurance?
So you, uh, I don't think you can insist, but what happened is it's a free market. What you could do is you could respectfully decline their application and find another renter that would accept that term.
Thank you. On behalf of West San Gabriel Valley Realtors, we'd like to thank our guest speaker for a very informative presentation. Please accept this as a small token of our appreciation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at our meeting today. Have a wonderful day. The meeting's adjourned, and thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be your host this month. Thank you.